Welcome back to the Weird and Proud podcast. It's Sam and James.
The beginning, you
Yeah.
remixed again on me.
Did I?
Yeah, it was great.
Um,
I loved it.
do we sound different, you guys? Do we
s-
sound
Am I congested?
different?
Is that why I sound different?
No, we have upgraded. So for my birthday, I got some new microphones.
New microphones.
So this has been something I have been eventually I know I needed to get new microphones, and so many of you guys have mentioned, sometimes James, might be louder than I am, or one time I'm a little louder, and sometimes it would
I don't know what you're talking about.
that'll be the true test if this equalizes out. But yes, we finally got some new microphones, so hopefully now we really should not have any issues with with one of us being quieter or louder than the other, and it should just be more crisp.
By the way, we
What?
love the feedback.
Yes,
from
no,
people.
no, no, no.
We
I
love the
love it. No, it really wasn't until a lot of, some people were saying, hey, James sounded quiet in this, or I had to turn the speakers all the way up to hear you guys because it was really quiet this week. And that's not a premium experience. And I want to make sure, now that we've been doing this for a little while, and we're on, I think it's episode 47 this week, which is crazy.
Holy cow.
I know. I was like, we should do something fun for
the 50th.
Yeah.
The 50th will be right around Christmas, right after Christmas,
right
around
after
New Year's.
And that makes sense because we started 50, a year ago.
When is New Year's Eve? Is the
What
question.
do you mean? January 31st.
What's the date? Actually,
Got him.
Well, did you?
Got him.
What month did you say?
January 31st.
Yep.
Got him.
Got him. Guess when New Year's Eve
Sunday?
actually is.
Monday.
Well, guess which day.
December 31st.
December 31st.
Yeah.
It's a Sunday.
Shut up.
We get to do the podcast on New Year's Eve. Should we do a special location podcast?
Should we stream and do a live stream?
We live stream New Year's Eve for sure.
I should find out a way to do that. You can do that on YouTube. You can do a lot. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. All my fantasy football people do live stream.
Maybe I can do that and find out a way to record the audio so I can just post it on the regular.
Oh, definitely. There's going to be drinking involved too.
Oh my God. Let us know. Would you be interested? We don't have to do it at midnight, but we could always do it at a
we could
New
do
Year's Eve.
a live. We're definitely doing a live show New Year's Eve. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's
yeah.
been determined.
Oh my God, we could really.
And who wants
make
to have some virtual drinks with us on New Year's Eve?
Would you guys want to? We'll just do it from YouTube, and you can log in whenever, and
I'll make up the rules for the drinking game.
Yes, we'll have some games to play. And the only thing is what time we should do it. We should do it at 8 or 9.
Maybe we should take some feedback. You can post about it.
Yeah,
and we'll figure out.
Yes. I will post about it on Instagram. So make sure you are following along. And if you're interested, give us your feedback. I would think maybe we do it 8 or 9. Because some people might be at dinner, or maybe they're, going to a party or something.
We'll find out. I trust the wisdom, and they can have it right on their phones too.
Right.
We'll bring in. We'll open it up, and maybe we'll bring somebody in with us, random person. We can have a contest.
Well, and what's really cool is you can do the engagement on the spot, so it's people can live chat.
Bring them right in.
This is gonna be that's kind of exciting.
You guys will whoever's listening, you were just a part of us. We really don't plan that far in advance. We just came up with
we literally. Yeah. So
I'm so glad it's
I'll
not
post
January
on Instagram.
31st this year, because that's not a Sunday.
So dumb.
So glad I got moved back.
Dumb. Gotcha. All right. Anyways, we have a great show for you guys today. We have, of course, some great weird stories, some great weird secrets. I think I opened the floodgates a little bit with the DMs.
I know it's a lot for you, but I'm willing to help. And
well, it's not a lot either way. I just hope it's just as funny and fun to listen to if I'm reading it from a message rather than a voicemail.
I think we can make a way to make it fun.
Well, and that's feedback too. I know, and also other podcasts too will read
Well,
submissions for things.
I think that if somebody like does send one in from Australia, you should read it in your Australian accent.
Right.
And if somebody sends it from Ireland, you need to read it in your Irish accent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's
a
you
given.
have to embrace the culture that the people are writing.
Oh no, that's a given.
Yeah.
Speaking of Australia, I did have some. Oh shit, what's the name? Not marmalade. Marmalade. I was gonna say
Vegemite.
Vegemite, because there's Marmite. There's also
They
I
make
think
a
in
Marmite.
English.
I am not aware
I
of
I
this.
don't know, but I did try it last night. It was funny. We just happened to we were at an Australian restaurant.
Yep.
And I don't know, it just like came up that we were just talking about Australian foods. Oh, because one of our friends came in, who is Australian, and we were like, "Oh my god, do you come here for like Australian foods?" And she was like, "Well, they do a Vegemite here." And I was like, "What?" And they don't like even serve it on the menu. It's not
No,
like
they had it back in the kitchen
yeah,
just for the Australian chef and the
yeah,
Australian owner.
yeah, the guys that work there, like the
The
owners
owners,
are
yeah.
obviously Australian, so they just like happen to have some. So I was like, "Oh my god, can I try it?" And, because that was one thing. It's funny when we went to Fiji, some people had asked, like, "Oh my god, you got to try if they have Vegemite," which
We met a
no
lot
one
of
did.
Australians when we were in Fiji.
Yes. So, yeah, they just happened to have it and they made it, the quote unquote Australian way with butter warmed on
Lots of
toasted
butter.
bread, lots of butter. And I threw up, basically.
I thought it was delicious.
James is a freak. It was a lot of Vegemite for my first time. Like, when I had some people, I obviously posted it.
And you did
Obviously.
not ease into your Vegemite experience.
No, I used way too much. Like, everyone was like, that's way too much for a beginner. And so many people do say, also, when you try it for the first time, doing it with cheese, or like a lot of people said, like they have like a cream cheese, like a.
Oh, you love cream cheese with anything. Yeah, you could definitely.
So they're like, just to like kind of take down the bite of it.
If it was on an everything bagel with cream cheese, I think you could handle it.
Maybe.
Better.
But it's for those who, because I was like, what even is this? Because it is bizarre. Like, it's a dark, it almost looks like kind of like a Nutella, except
it's
oilier.
To me, it's not your bouillon cubes, but it's reduced down beef broth. If you take like a spoonful of beef broth,
No,
that's exactly what it is.
No.
And yes, with a little bit of molasses.
No.
It's bean broth. It's beef
No.
broth and molasses.
To me, it tasted like really like thick soy sauce.
Okay, you know what? That's funny. The other one I was going to
Yeah.
go to is like a good
Super
black
salty
bean paste, like a
Yeah.
Japanese black bean paste.
Yeah.
That's where I'd go.
But the flavor's so overwhelming. And it was funny because, like, in the beginning, if you watch it, like, I'm chewing it and it doesn't like hit until I think, like, literally almost. It was like it needed my taste buds, like, needed a second to like adjust
It took you
to the flavor. But it was just too much. I tried.
I encourage everyone to go watch this.
Yeah.
On her Instagram stories.
Yeah, but now it'll be over. I did put it on TikTok. We'll see.
Oh, it's never. Can you watch it on? You can't watch it on the old stories.
No, you can't. That's the thing about stories.
Yeah, they go
That's
away.
the thing about them. Anyways, so I digress. But if you ever get a chance to, I mean, I would try it again. Like, if I tried a little bit, and if I tried it, like, I want,
I'd use it for cooking. I'll make a gravy out of that.
Well, that's the thing too. A lot of people say they put it in stews or in soups
Be
and stuff.
good in that.
Yeah. Anyways, so we got a great show. We should we just get right in, dive in, James?
Dive in.
Also, just wanted to say something fun that we got to do this weekend too, other than try Vegemite, is shopping for some angel trees. And I saw someone else doing this on social media, and I was like, that is such a great idea. So I got this from someone else as a good idea. And I love, like, I've already like had some messages about people who've said that they, want to do it and have reached out to Salvation Armies because of this. But if you guys didn't know, there's a thing called angel trees. I didn't even know this was a thing, where like Salvation Army does it, but like a couple other nonprofits in your area might, if you just do some Googling. But what happens is, like, lower income families can apply, and then if they're approved, they can submit basically like, a kid's wish list, like their kid's Christmas wish list, and they're nothing crazy. Like, and that's what's almost sad about it is like a lot of it is like a winter jacket, like a soccer ball, socks, like it's not like these kids aren't asking for a PS5, it's like or like arts and crafts, like this is all stuff that um, for us, luckily, very,
A lot,
very blessed
yeah.
and grateful that's like, getting like a $10 toy is, and being able to have something that they can open because a lot of these kids too, they'll get donations, which is amazing, but they don't really like have anything brand new ever that they get to open, So that's just, it's cool that we got to go. You can go anywhere, and again, you can just reach out. You can do one gift off a kid's list.
Nothing that you got was like more than 15 or $20,
Yeah, except
right?
for the jackets. The
The
winter
jackets were a
jackets are a
little
little
more.
bit more. But yeah, but all the game, yeah, it's like you can go to Target or Walmart or, and just get, yeah, like, Operation, it's like 12.99, So, but it's like a lot of these kids again don't get to open new stuff, and so it was just cool. So we got to do that, and or also a lot of people are saying that even if you're not in the right financial state to do that, a lot of these nonprofits like Salvation Army, they also need help just like organizing and then wrapping all the
Oh, that's a
gifts.
great one too. Just go for an hour.
Yeah, so, like, a lot of them are like, actually, we have, like, volunteers that come and just wrap gifts and, like, prepare, like, they, like, basically do, like, a whole, like, holiday thing party too at a lot of these places where they'll have free food, and you can always volunteer and stuff like that. So, you don't have to buy stuff, but just, something to think about this year. Well, it's just been a crazy year, and there's so much going on in the world. It really does, like, selfishly also feel really good to do it.
Great thought. The way you stated that, right? This
Yeah, like,
selfishly,
selfishly, like, you also, like, get a little like, it was fun, like, and we don't have like, I don't have kids to shop for,
no.
Like, it's like, we don't get to go buy games and toys, like, we don't really have any young kids in the
Mm-mm.
family, so it's like, it's fun to go shopping for,
I think
for
in
kids.
that idea of like selfishly giving,
Yeah,
of course, I love that you said that and think of it that way. When really, yes, a lot of things we do are going to affect us, whether
yeah,
good or bad, right?
yep,
But the action, that's all that really matters,
yeah,
right? Because you could have chosen not to. You could have been like, well, maybe people are going to think I'm just doing it to have people watch, or I'm just doing it so that people see me giving back.
yeah,
No, you genuinely, it was so much fun to do.
yeah,
And it is sometimes a little heart wrenching to think, wow, some of these families might not have the $20 to have their kids open something.
right,
And just thinking about that, even just that
yeah,
one toy a kid could open and have the best holiday they've had in a long time.
right,
I don't care what any naysayers or trolls say about, oh, you're just giving back, or oh, it's selfish to give stuff. Never, never.
yeah.
Is the action speaks louder than the thoughts, and
Yeah,
it's a great thing
totally.
to do.
I agree. Well, and like I was thinking, and I was like, posting about it or talking about it. It was like, well, I got the idea because I saw someone else do it.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, well, maybe, again, someone sees me and one other person is like, oh, that's a good idea. I'll go. It's just kind of like
Absolutely.
a chain reaction. So anyway, so hopefully, or just anyway, there's a million ways
Toys for
to,
Tots is another good one that I know is in a
yes,
lot of areas if you don't
yes.
have a Salvation Army right there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's you can always Google like angel trees local. Like I just never heard of the word of an angel
I
tree.
hadn't heard of Angel Tree either.
So anyways, so that's your little good news of the day. Um, but I think it's time to get into some weird shit. What do you think?
Oh, for sure.
Also, we have the Packers game tomorrow though.
I'm so excited.
I know, one more sleep. It's like
One
Christmas
more
Eve for
sleep. Oh
James.
my God.
Yeah, stay tuned for some great
There's going to
Packers
be a
content.
lot of content tomorrow. Oh,
All right, so weird watches this week. We really have been in a Christmas movie mode.
absolutely.
And I can't recommend enough that you rewatch Just Friends if you haven't seen Just Friends or you haven't seen it in a while.
Laughed our asses off last night.
I was thinking too that there are just not movies anymore. Like I can't remember the last movie that was new that made me laugh as hard as like a Just Friends or like Four Christmases. Like I laugh out loud. Like I can't remember. I was just looking up like funniest movie that came out in 2023 and it was like Barbie was listed as I mean,
Mhm.
great movie, but like I didn't laugh like I didn't like have laugh out loud moments, really.
Now I
I mean, I
have
guess
to
some
think
of it.
about
I
that. I
mean,
can't think of. I really can't either.
when was the last like really funny movie that came out? It's like hard to even, right? I mean, I know like movies, it just seems like everything's streaming, but it's like even on streaming, I'm like, I can't think of any, that wasn't a TV show, like just straight
And
movies.
I wanted you to give her the credit, but N- Anna Faris's role
Yeah.
I laughed so hard at everything she was doing.
Well, it's just like the characters, and they're
Yeah.
always so weird. And, obviously, like I love physical humor, and there's so much,
Well, she
ridiculous
did
physical
both. She
humor.
played the situation, and I don't want to give away too much about her role because I hope somebody goes and watches this. I
Yeah.
think
Well,
part of it
hopefully, most
was
of you guys have seen it.
I
If you
think part of
haven't,
it, and I'd seen it before, but I did not remember how damn funny that it was.
she's so. It made me actually want to look up, like, what is she doing now? I think she has a podcast.
Producer. I think she's helped
Yeah.
produce a lot
She's
of
doing more
things.
behind the stuff,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
scene stuff. She is so freaking funny. Um, she also, it's like House Bunny. Did you ever see that
I
one too that
did.
she was
You know
in?
what's funny? I saw House Bunny, and I think this was way before we would ever been together. I saw it because of the scary movies that she was in and how funny she was,
Oh my god, of
which you loved, and I
course.
know you
Of
loved those. But that
course.
was like she is one of the funniest actresses. I'm not saying like,
Yeah.
oh, she's funny for a girl. No,
Yeah.
she's freaking hilarious. She was great in the scary movies. So I did see House Bunny, even though it wouldn't be the
Yeah.
type of movie you'd expect me to go
Yeah.
see.
Well, was it, and that wasn't like the best one, but it's just like, some of the things she does, apparently, like she does a lot of improv and riffing
I
too.
bet.
Where like it was, like the name, like the scene in House Bunny when she's like, hi James. James. She
Yeah, she
just
just goes dark for no reason. Oh yeah,
she's just so funny. Anyway, so you gotta watch that. That we haven't seen that in so
just
long.
friends. You wouldn't always think of it as a Christmas movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so funny. And just because I feel like a couple other people's days need to be ruined, but also trigger warning, I watched this documentary this morning called Great Photo Lovely Life on HBO. If you want to be well, it's not I mean, it's just like really I mean, I don't even know the word to describe it, but it's about this woman who's a young woman. She's like, looks in her early 30s, and she is a journalist, and all of a sudden like her grandfather's getting really sick, so she goes back home, and she had like moved overseas and was like a journalist like overseas. So she comes back to stay with her mom and ends up like doing all this research about her grandfather, finding out that he's like a serial schmedophile, and like does her own research on her grandfather and like all this fucked up shit that he did. And it is so, I mean, obviously it's dark, but it's like eh, it's just, if you need like, if you want to watch a documentary that's like, I was starting to recommend it like on my stories, and I'm like, then towards when I got to the end, I was like, this was extremely dark, but also was moving in parts, because part of it was like she was helping these women heal. Like
Yeah,
she literally goes to meet some of the victims, and it's just, and she even interviews like her grandfather before he dies, and he like admits to all this stuff, and it's just so crazy. Anyways, if you are really into just wanting to cry, you should watch that and be depressed. But it was one of those that it's, very sensitive
the fact
to.
that she goes and interviews some of the women, I
Yeah.
hope that I, the first thing that popped in my head, and now I'm just talking through it because I could be totally wrong in saying this. I would hope that makes every person is going to absorb that differently. But I would think that in the long run, that might make them feel better to have got to talk to a family member who has
Yeah.
genuine remorse for what
Well,
happened.
that, she was like, I just want to provide these women with closure,
Yeah.
and
I don't know if you ever get
I
closure
don't know if
from
you ever
something
get
like that.
closure. Well, that's the thing too, is like towards the end, like when he's like really on his deathbed,
Yeah.
she had all these women record voice notes and she would play them to him and he'd be like, I don't want to listen. And she's like, you've got to listen. And she would like force him to listen, basically.
And I hope that all the women got to see him go through that.
Yeah.
Again, there can't necessarily be closure,
Yeah.
but there can be ways to deal with things when that emotion that you can't control pops up. Maybe it helps them cope a little better.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, just crazy. I know I had seen some people talking about it on social media. So I was like, well, this sounds kind of
I
crazy.
know you were watching it and when I walked in the door and you were still watching it, you had a very interesting look on your face.
Well,
I
it
was
was
like, what's he watching?
just, because like he knew it was a problem. Like it was interesting to hear also from him as an interview viewee. Like, it's like, when do you ever hear from these schmetophiles being like, yeah, I did that, and like, here's what I was thinking at the time. Like he like it kind of like tries to explain himself. So it's
Wow.
just really like, because
Did
you
he
always
try to
wonder, like,
did he try to defend himself at all?
yes,
Yeah, did.
yes.
Wow.
It was like him trying to defend and, trying to explain in some way like how his past and, he was always felt like he was stuck as a young kid, and he had trauma and was, had all these things that he went through at that time of his life. So that's why he felt like he was still stuck, So it was just like him trying, and it was just, it's just the whole psychology of it all too. It's like, what? You just like don't understand. It's like, how could you, it's anyways, dark shit, weird shit, but
Very dark. Very
yeah,
weird.
it's crazy, and it was sad, but it was also like kind of moving in some ways, just because she does this young, also young girl helps.
What do you think was in her mind during this thing? What did you see her go
Well,
through?
she also felt guilty too,
Okay, yeah.
like that she hadn't helped out earlier, that she, somehow could have known about this earlier, but
Do you think she really could have?
no,
I
no, of
doubt it.
course not.
No.
Of course not. Anyways, okay, well, with that, with the sad shit out of the way, let's get into some weird news, okay? And again, it's always like funny because like I just sometimes never know. Like I just feel like all of them are insane. Because I found some good ones this week. And this I feel like there was a little bit of a pattern with people discovering things on inanimate objects inside of their body. Okay.
You do love this topic.
I do love this topic because this is another thing where people are like, I don't know how that got there. This is kind of like a really crazy thing. So this man is getting a colonoscopy.
Okay.
Okay. He is 60 in his 60s, 63 years old.
Okay.
Okay. Obviously, when you're going through a colonoscopy, you have to clean everything out,
Yep.
all of that. They found and it was dead, but they found a fully intact horsefly, in his colon. A fully formed fly. Everything else was removed. Like he had no waste except a fly. Is that not? And the patient was like, I have no idea. Like, I haven't eaten in 2 days, but like I had a pizza. It's like, how maybe, like, and all the doctors were like completely, flabbergasted. And we're like, we've literally never seen or heard of a totally intact fly inside your colon.
I have rudimentary knowledge of biology, but I do know a little bit. And for a fly to go through your digestive system is very hard. Like if
To
you
go through your
swallowed
stomach
it.
acid.
Yeah. That's very like I'm trying to picture unless how it could happen and maybe there's a medical way it could. Now but my question is, did he put a fly up his butt to mess with the doctor? Because
Well,
that's about
there's
all you'd
no,
have to
even
do.
if you suck it up your butt, even if you stuck a full fly up your butthole.
That would be that I could see. That could survive,
Really?
yeah, if it's in your
But
colon.
how do you go opposite
If
way? Isn't
everything
everything
like,
moving
you
the
would
other
have to
way?
shove it. You'd
Like,
have to, like, take a
how?
tweezers and open your butthole and have someone
How?
stick it in there.
See, that
My
just seems
question is
even
how far up his
crazier.
colon he was,
I was,
because the colon is close to the rectum, right?
right?
It's not in the small
Right,
intestine,
right,
right?
right.
It's like the last thing coming out, and the colon's big enough to hold a fly for sure.
Yep.
People can have tapeworms and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So my question
It was
is,
located in the transverse colon, which is right near the liver.
okay, so it's in the upper part of the colon.
Yeah.
Wow, you'd
Yeah.
have to, unless they shoved it in there live and the little fly climbed its way up there and died.
Right?
That's about the only way. I wonder if they shoved the fly in his butt. You got to fly up his butt, and it might have climbed its way up there.
There's literally like how,
I That's the only thing that, again,
right?
a
Like
nurse might be
how?
able to explain it,
Yeah, nurses. I know there's a lot of nurses that listen.
or a digestive and internal medical expert that's like, my uncle's an internal doc. I should
Yeah,
ask him.
ask him.
Like, I'm just thinking again, through the stomach acid and through digestion, it would have to be in something. Like if you had a fly in a capsule protected, and the
Mm.
capsule gets
But still, like
digested.
he's like not admitting, being like, yeah, ha ha ha,
Well,
I
you got to
gotcha,
think you can
motherfuckers.
poop out corn, right?
Yeah.
So corn can go through your system. A peanut can go through your
Mm.
system. So a fly could, but I wonder how. Like, it's possible because corn, peanut, but to have it intact right there,
Intact,
that's
fully
interesting.
intact. And then also there's this story that was right below it, and it said man goes into a hospital for saying he had headaches. He's had headaches for the last 5 months. Turns out he had chopsticks in his head, and he did not know about it. Okay. Like these are like sometimes some of the stories I'm like, what?
I need to know more.
So a man in Vietnam, he was suffering these crazy headaches for 5 months, and they just like, he was given medications, nothing was helping. He's 35 years old. He goes back into, so they're like, all right, let's do a CT scan. And he had two chopsticks that were penetrated up his nose and into his brain. And so this hospital was like, obviously we've never seen anything like this. Like, did you do something? Did you like what, obviously what the fuck's going on? And the man was like, I have no idea. Like, I literally have no idea. The only thing I can think of is that 5 months ago, he was like, like, when did these start? Like, was there something that happened? And he goes, I got in a bar fight. And I remember someone trying to stab me, like, stabbed, or like punched me with something, but I was blacked out and I don't really remember like what
So he thinks
happened.
he fought some guys and they shoved chopsticks up his nose.
Yeah. So he says, I think that maybe I would just so, like, blacked out that I got when they like when someone went to stab me, they like literally stabbed me up the nose with fucking chopsticks.
Well, I wonder if he was blacked out. Maybe they did beat him up and shove him up there as like a
Right,
joke or
right.
something.
Like he
But then the next
passed out.
question is, why didn't they catch that the first time? Did they not
They didn't
X-ray
do
him or didn't?
scattering. No, because you're like someone comes with a headache. I mean, this is
True.
also like
Yeah.
who knows if like how long he was going in. He might have just, it doesn't say like the
Might have
real
went in only
details.
one time
Yeah, he
for the
went in
headache. Yeah, yeah,
once.
yeah.
They
Okay.
gave him some, ibuprofen or something, or like,
Yeah.
So yeah, how that like it's stuff like that where it's like,
Human body's crazy.
yeah. And there was always this show, I think it was on TLC or maybe it was like A&E, where it was like basically it was a show about like emergency room cases
Yeah, I know what
where
you're
people
talking
would
about.
come in
With the craziest
with the
stuff.
craziest shit. And like I remember there was one where like some guy, was like nailing something, and like he like remembers like he thought he had like hit his head with it, but like he ended up like putting like nails
In
into his
his head.
skull.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing, like months went by, and then he was like, oh, I keep getting these headaches. And you're like, you literally have nails in your skull. It's like, how do you not know? Or like wake up the next morning and you're like, feel like
This
you couldn't feel the
this
nails, or like
feels weird.
feel the chopsticks
The chopsticks one is interesting.
in your nose. Like, how did you not That
There's
is so
I mean,
insane
there's
to me.
no, like, nerves that run up past a certain point in your nose that you have feeling.
Oh, oh,
Like, you can't like, you can't feel your heart. You can feel the compression of your heart, like your heart beating, and then you feel that against your chest wall, or you can feel
mm,
your butt, but there's no
like the
nerve that
pressure.
goes to your heart, and your body can't, like, if somebody poked you in the heart, you wouldn't feel it, right?
Right.
Right?
Huh.
So there are parts of the body that don't have feeling sensation. The nails in the head is an interesting one to me. Like,
Yeah.
how deep were those nails driven in below the skull? Like that you couldn't tell that there was something in your
Right.
skull.
Right.
The
Right.
chopsticks, however they got up there, I guess that's possible.
Yeah, maybe he just got beat up so bad the next day. He was just
And
like,
you just put them
everything
up,
hurts, and he
and
just
everything's
thought he got
swollen.
punched in the
Yep.
nose, or yeah.
And so, like, the swelling wouldn't go down for 3 weeks. Like, especially if you have a bunch of black eyes, your whole body's going to be swollen. And eventually, I guess the body just kind of assimilates to it. Isn't
Oh
that
my
weird?
god. Have you ever, like, when you were a kid, did you ever like swallow anything, or like do you
Not
ever?
that I remember. I
No.
easily could have, but not that I remember any crazy stories about stuff like that.
Yeah.
No.
I just remember Ian put marbles in his nose once.
I think
My
yeah,
brother.
I think you told me that one.
He got a
Did
bunch
he
of
have to get him taken out
marbles.
by a doctor, or
Um
did they figure it out? Did your parents figure it out?
so I don't think we ever ended up going to the doc. We were really close,
Yeah.
but then it was like I think my uncle got called over, who was a doctor,
He's a doctor, he's a
and
chiropractor.
he brought like some really long, like, forceps
Pulled him
looking
out.
like plier
Yep.
type of thing, and was able to get him out. But like, so funny. That's always, you know, the marbles, putting marbles up the nose. Like that was like, I feel like everyone in school was putting shit up their nose. That was like what kids were doing, putting
I
shit.
don't see. I don't remember. Now I'm thinking. If by the end of the episode I come up with something, I'll share it. But I
Yeah.
don't. I
That's just like the easiest place too to like shove shit, you
Yeah.
know? I was watching too this other TikTok, of course, about this injury lawyer that was talking about like the worst gifts to give for Christmas for kids.
Okay.
And I thought this was really interesting. He was saying um anything with like the circular battery, because a lot of kids will either try to shove that in the nose or swallow it, and you know, it because it looks kind of like candy, like if like basically like a battery for like a
So
watch.
here's my question for toy companies, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
you have this circular battery, why aren't you making it very difficult for the kids to get at the circular battery?
Well, I mean, it's like anything, like even like a remote, like you would think it'd be easy, but
True.
kids can always figure out a way. So anyways, that's kind of your weird news. Um shoving things in
Good thing
holes.
to talk about around the holidays so that people know.
Yeah, well, that's why, I was like, oh, that's good to know. Also, apparently, too, something that's also caused a lot of issues for kids is the Orbeez. Have you ever seen
I
those?
do not know what that is.
So they're like little, I don't even know. They're like, is it plastic or it's like some sort? It's Orbeez. And basically, the idea is that you put them in water and they expand.
We used to have dinosaurs like that.
Exact same
The little
idea, but
foam
like they're
ones.
little, like they almost look like sprinkles. You put it in water, and it can blow up to like the size of a baseball.
Yeah, don't eat that.
So yeah, that's the issues that kids are eating them,
Yeah.
and like yeah,
That's
not good.
sponge. That can
Yeah,
mess up a system.
yeah, that was the other big thing.
Now I'm thinking about those dinosaurs. I don't remember a whole lot of warnings for those. In the 80s, they just kind of let us do whatever we
They
wanted.
just let us
Oh,
die.
I loved it.
They were like, "Oh, you're
Way
dead.
better.
Great.
No protection.
We didn't want you
You want to go
anyways."
out for the whole day? Get on your bike. You're gone for 8
Yeah,
hours. Your parents don't
just
think
come
about
back
you.
when it's dark.
No cell phone, nothing.
Yeah,
Just let us go.
I know, it's so funny because it's like grow up, you like it's yeah, you don't remember. But again, we have social media. Like I feel like now you just know way too much. Either it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's like that's always I feel like there's so much useless information, but also like is it useful? Like now I know.
I think that there's plenty of both.
Right. It's a balance. It's all about balance.
Yeah.
It's all about balance. Prue is snoring, and it is the cutest friggin' thing.
She loves podcast time because she just gets to nap.
Yeah, she always has to be in here with us. She will lose her friggin' mind if she's not in. Kiara is also in here with us too.
Of course.
Okay, so sticking with this theme, like again, like I always try and like find some sort of like theme or pattern. So it's not just completely random shit that I talk about through the podcast. But
There's nothing wrong with it being completely random.
you don't?
No, no.
What do you guys
It's like
think? Do you like
improv.
to have like themes for the episode? Like if I try and keep all the secrets and all like the stories, or do you like when it's just
It's
you
like a
never
little
know
bit
what
of improv.
well that, but I'm also like kind of like looking like what news stories go along with these secrets,
I like it.
or like can I make it just like make sense a little bit more? I don't know. You guys tell me, or do you not care? Or do you just make it entertaining?
It's our job to entertain.
Exactly. Well, that's but how do you like to be entertained? All right. Okay, so speaking of putting things in holes where they don't belong, are you ready for secret, 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 secrets?
Now I see where you're going with this. That's a good transition.
You know?
Great transition.
So here's the thing. Obviously, last week we talked about sounding. The sounding that sounded off a
Don't want
million
to talk
men.
about that anymore.
The men were not
I
happy
do
about
not
that.
want to hear sounds about sounding.
Someone wrote in and said people call it Sound Town. Go to Sound Town. We have some nurses. So the nurses have spoken.
Thank goodness.
And they said, please stop putting shit in your holes that don't belong. No, but obviously we got a lot of people, around that topic that have reached out. So I got a couple of DMs and I'm
gonna make my vote. I love that you have this transition going on. This was a good job today. You did well.
see, like I'm just trying to make it so it's like all like a theme, or it's
Yeah.
not just like random shit. Like we're talking about shit in your pants and then peeing. I'm trying to like
I think it ties it together really well. Put a
you
nice
know
little bow on it.
right. I don't know. You guys tell me. Do you like a themed episode, or if I try and like keep all the things within a certain subject, or again, do you not care?
I think the transitions are important. I think it can be random, but how we
It's all about
connect
the
the story,
transition.
it is really all about the transition.
Yeah.
Like it's more about how we connect the story from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
And do we even remember what we said at the beginning of the episode? That's the tough part for us.
Tough part. I can't remember what I did yesterday. All right. I will I'll play the first voicemail.
Okay.
And then I'll read the DMs. But with that being said, we need some new good voicemails, Like I love to hear about why you guys love us. Like we've had like some really sweet voicemails of people sending in being like love to listen, love. But it's like, no one wants to hear that. I mean,
I think
I
it's
love that you
okay.
send it to
I
us and
think
like
it's
I
good
can
to
hear
send
that.
those.
But we also need like, I need some juice. I need some gossip. I need some tea, And, my DMs are open on the Weird and Proud pod. So if you feel more comfortable sending it to us as a DM, you can DM us at Weird and Proud pod on Instagram, or
Only do it to the Weird and Proud pod because it will get lost if you send it to her
yeah, it will get
personally.
lost on my personal, but send it to the Weird and Proud pod Instagram. But if you want to call in, you obviously please call in at
SpeakPipe.
That's speakpipe.com/weird and proud pod. I'll put it in the description too. And it's, again, always anonymous. I will never say names unless, of course you want to, but always anonymous. And again, whether you want to call in the voicemail, you want to leave a DM, either one. But to follow up on last week's sounding heard around the world, here we go.
Hey guys, Shitty Paramedic here. The last two episodes, I wanted to say something. First of all, being Canadian, James is welcome up here anytime. Second of all, this whole thing that you were talking about, sounding, I think you called it. Yeah, as a paramedic, they like to use glass sometimes. And let's just say that's not the greatest idea. Okay, bye.
Yeah, so not only did I hear that, but someone had messaged me This was another mess. A lot of them were like in between this type of like the sounding or weird fetishes, which I'll get to in a second. This was another DM. Was I used to work at a hospital, and there was a patient that would constantly be admitted because she says, quote unquote, he loved to go to Sound Town. And if you don't know what sounding is, go listen to last week's episode or just Google sounding fetish or sound
Don't
fetish.
look at the photos.
Oh my God, please don't look at the photos. But
I haven't done it yet. I haven't done it, and I won't do it. But I'm just
sounding or
picturing
Googling?
the sounding thing. I won't look at it. I don't want to see what that is.
But there was a patient, he had done it so much that scar tissue, like he couldn't even insert a rod anymore. So he basically cut off his own at home.
Oh,
But apparently, like some men, like once you hit that spot and you find the spot, it's, quote unquote, like the best orgasm. So like people, you get like addicted to it.
yeah, but having a drink or two is always fun until you kill your liver.
Yeah.
So
Right.
just because you
Right.
found something that's pleasurable doesn't mean it's right.
Well, listen, I don't know. I mean, also what many people have like written in about that too. I was kind of like looking at all the different comments too on the reel that we had posted about it. And some woman had also, she's like a dominatrix type,
Okay.
like where it's her profession.
So she's around
So
guys
she
that
does
haven't
it,
in all
an
these
interest in it.
her clientele has a different view and way that they
Yes.
pleasure themselves.
And she's like, you would not believe the amount of men that love to do this. And she's like, and there really is a way to do it in a safe way. Like if you are clean, sanitizing, and using the right things and doing the right technique, and you're smart about it.
Well, I'd like to thank the caller, whoever, and I didn't hear what she said exactly at the beginning.
I know, yes.
Thank
but
you
somebody,
so much for
she was
calling.
a paramedic. She's a paramedic.
I do the paramedic. She was the shitty paramedic.
Yeah.
I think she'd called in before, but she said something about. I heard my name in there, and I don't know what she said.
Oh, that you're welcome to Canada.
Yes, she was from. That's what I was trying to catch.
I mean,
Love the
I don't know if
Canadians.
you really want him. I mean, you guys can have him. Go.
No,
Be
you're
with your
coming with,
Canadian
right?
people. No, I'm kidding. Yes. No, yes.
Canada's
yes.
awesome.
No, we do. We need to go to Canada.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah.
And the glass thing, as soon as she said that,
your balls shrivel into
yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's the thing is, it's like using the right type
thing. If that breaks,
right. Like that's the thing is, it's like, you can't use. Yeah, like
is part of this the risk? I get
of course,
there's a biological side to it,
but
okay, that's what I wanted to make sure I wasn't. I was like, part of this has to be just
of course
taking a risk on it.
Of course,
yeah,
100%,
oh,
100%. So yeah, so thank you for calling in. Thank you for writing in. And again, I'm trying to get good at checking those DMs. So like if you have like little stories or things to add in, just make sure you do send it to the Weird and Proud Instagram. And it's Weird and Proud Pod on Instagram.
You'll see our photos.
You will see our photos. All right. So this also sparked something else for me to look up, but this was a DM. Okay. Are you ready for this?
I am excited.
This like counts. This is the type of stuff that I'm like, oh, this makes sense on why some people might not want to call in. Okay, here we go. Hey, Sam and James. I had to message this one in too. I need to know if you guys have ever heard, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, coprophilia. It's coprophilia.
Okay.
Coprophilia. If you haven't, it's the arousal by feces. Yes, feces. I dated a guy for almost 3 months that had this, and it was the weirdest thing I've experienced. It started as him just wanting to watch me go to the bathroom, number 2, which, okay, but weird, but whatever. Then he'd ask me not to flush, and he'd go in there for a while after. I would ask him what he would do, and he said he would just want to play and poke around. So weird. The final straw is when he asked me if I would shit in my pants and then we could have sex afterwards. At that point, I was like, okay, this is becoming way too weird, and I had to end it. Thought you guys would like that one. So I look up what are the top weirdest fetishes, and again, never yuck anyone's yum, but also feces. That is pretty nasty. I mean that, and also again, like unsanitary. Like that's what I'm like. How do you not like get sick? Like, isn't that like toxic waste? Your body's like people who like.
It's not as bad as some of the stuff that companies dump into the ocean, but
That's true.
yeah.
But so, and also, please, if you have any other fetish stories, please do. Love a good fetish. But I looked up the weirdest fetishes.
All right.
Okay. Number 1, necrophilia, which I have heard of.
Of course.
Dead
That's the dead. Yep.
corpses. Then this corporophilia, arousal to feces. Fraudurism is touching a stranger in a crowded place. I don't know.
That's just a weird game of tag. That's all that
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Well, so I'm
You're
like,
it.
people, maybe like PDA type of thing. Lithophilia, which is arousal to stone and gravel. Yeah.
Interesting.
Actirasti is arousal to the sun's rays. Like these are all real life things.
Oh, I mean, are you just like
You
horny
just like
all
want,
day?
yeah,
On
like you
sunny
just, like,
days.
wanna
What if it's
fucking-
cloudy out?
It's a rough day.
Nothing.
Dry as a whistle. Exlophilia, arousal to wood. I just don't know, like, what do you do with that then? So, like, you like wood turns you on. So you're like, I'm gonna fuck a door? Like, how do you then incorporate that? Maybe like a wooden dildo?
Maybe there's no mattress on your bed, or maybe like you're just like maybe you want to bang on top of a wood pile
Maybe you
against
want
the
to bang
tree,
on top of a tree.
or like I said. So picture instead of like a bedboard, right? Sometimes we have the little grates, but some places where
Just
mattresses sit,
all
it's just a
wood.
wood, right?
Okay.
I don't know. My question is always one. I'd like to thank the person who DM'd this in, taking the time.
Yes.
Amazing
Amazing.
story. Do you think that she was very patient with this person? Because
Well,
obviously,
and again, like it's maybe one thing that he had said in the beginning, like, "Hey, I'm, into, like, would you ever be down for, I'm sure butt stuff is up his alley for sure." And she's like, "Okay,
the
sure."
one where he wants to go in there and play with it.
Yeah,
That's
disgusting. There's just 3 more. There's
Oh, sorry.
gentrophilia, arousal to the elderly.
Elderly, okay.
Agalmathilia, arousal to statues. There's formicophilia, arousal to insects, and stygophilia, arrival to hellfire and damnation.
Oh. That last one, I wonder how they pull that off. Did they like go commit a murder and then they get horny?
Well, that's what like people who are like Satan, like
Yeah.
Satan or something.
The insect one, weirdly enough, I swear I've heard of before.
Yeah.
Because people just want to cover themselves in insects.
Yeah, and like that's the thing is, it's like you want to like fuck a bug.
My question is always, and I'm
What
gonna
trauma have you
applaud
been
these
through?
people. Okay, I'll take that. I'll go the opposite route. How creative do you have to be to figure this out?
Well, that's the other thing too, is how do you come like to the guy with the poop thing? Like how did that come one day? Is that something he's always just loved playing with poop as a kid?
I mean, it's got at some level it has to, right?
Right. And then he grows up and he's like,
Or the brain is, again, the brain can rewire itself, neuroplasticity, right? So if that somehow becomes a part of the pleasure center, and that you just keep reinforcing that, that's how your brain is going to interpret some form of pleasure. So
yeah,
it could be a little bit of both nature and nurture. We're talking about, is it inherent or right? But how they find this out is
I know,
so
it's how you
interesting.
discover,
So
like, I'm really, turned
Talk
on
about
by
weird
statues.
and proud. He's proud enough to talk to other people about it, right? It's weird as hell, but good for them. They ain't hurting anybody.
Well, that's the thing. Well, that's always, or it's like some of the stuff, it's like you're not hurting anybody else. if you're, the only thing is you just hope these people aren't like hurting
It's-
themselves.
That's the thing. It's like, or do they only, is he going to be destined to only be with somebody that enjoys that?
You has
And how
to.
can he find the
Or if
internet's
there's
a
like
great place.
therapy,
Yeah.
like some sort of therapy out there to maybe, I don't even know, but yeah, I would always, if there's anyone out there, we're still looking for people who celebrated Kwanzaa.
The Kwanzaa thing.
I can't
We need to
believe
know
no
more about
Kwanzaa out
Kwanzaa.
there. It's so upsetting. Um, and if you are like into fetish, like a weird fetish, or like someone who's into a weird fetish, or
Past relationships you had that somebody just
past
had a really weird thing.
relationships, yeah, like I just need to know. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's got to be like a documentary out there on like people with weird fetishes and
I'm
how
sure.
they come about.
I'm sure that's the interesting part.
And like how you discover that. Speaking of, too, other just like to follow up on our story about the woman with the rag doll,
Oh, yes.
talking about like just loving weird inanimate stuff, and I'm sure she's kind of in the same boat. I follow her on TikTok,
Okay.
and there's like her video that she posted today.
The girl that married the rag
The
doll, to
girl that
remind
married
people.
the rag
Yep.
doll. Her video today was like trying to get her rag doll son to walk. And she like honestly believes, like, it's so wild. You need to go like see this woman's TikTok. And of course now like I can't remember what her name was,
I have a
but
feeling if you search woman who
ra-
married rag doll, you can probably
literally
find
if
her
I
social
Google
handle.
woman who married rag doll, yeah, literally it's the first thing that pops up. It's like
There's not going to be a lot of them.
yeah, Mary Von Roca Morales. And it has her TikTok. It is, I mean, the delusion is,
The delusion is real.
yeah, it's you have to wonder if it's like, are you fucking with us? Like, are you serious? Like, do you really? But it's like she seems, I mean, literally she posts like twice a day of her like with her ragdoll husband and her ragdoll babies and trying to like get them to walk and like feeds them. It's
It's that wild, huh?
yeah. So, you know what, guys? If you're having a rough day, you could always just think, well, I'm not turned on to people who shit their pants, to bugs, and I'm not married to an actual rag doll.
Or that isn't an option on your list.
Right. So, but you know what? They're living their best lives. And
Another weird
that's,
idea that I just want to repeat. I would love to hear some stuff about some messed up holiday stories.
oh yeah, I want to hear some more. I was getting a couple, but they just weren't good. Like,
I'm sure there
I'm sorry,
were.
not good, but it's just like, one of them, it's just, we need like some real juicy stuff,
And just like a great writer, every writer always knows that the rough draft sucks. So if you've called in before and maybe we haven't played it, it didn't mean it sucked. Maybe just try calling in again. We might have just missed it that time.
Yeah, or just add,
Yeah.
maybe
Sometimes you just gotta, and we want the truth. Don't make stuff up, but try again because
yeah.
there's always
There's
room for great
always
stories.
yeah. But if you do want to call in, you can call in too.
Speak pipe.
That's speakpipe.com/weird and proud pod. You can also DM us at weird and proud pod on Instagram. Shoot us a DM. I'm trying to check that at least once a day, every other day. So if you got any weird stories, don't want to say it out loud, don't want to, just in case, you can always DM it. And I swear on my life, on James' life, on Prue's life.
No, not Prue's life.
Yeah,
My life
if you
is
know,
fine.
yeah, your
Not
life.
Prue.
But if I swear on Prue's life, that's when you really know
Boys.
that we will always leave it anonymous. So we'll not go anywhere. And that's it for today's show. Anything else, James, you want to say to the people? Anything on your mind?
Genuinely, we love thinking about you guys and what does entertain you, and we appreciate you as listening to us as we're trying to build this together. It's so much fun to talk about it behind the scenes and be like,
yeah.
what
Well,
are we
I
gonna
mean,
do?
that's the thing about us. We're, we like to keep it real. You know?
And keep listening.
Tell a friend.
And you know what? Come to our New Year's Eve party.
Come to our New Year's Eve party. Yes, I'll
Tell people if they don't know who we are, but come to our New Year's Eve party.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild. James
gonna
gonna
be
show his tits.
Crazy. Oh, I'll show my tits for
Yeah,
sure.
so many nipples.
There's a good chance I'll have my shirt off at the Packer game at some point tomorrow.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, we need to paint my chest.
Can we please?
Yeah, I've never been to a Packer game and not painted my chest.
Oh my god, we're gonna shave. We'll shave it and we'll paint it.
Do I need to shave it again?
No, that's all right. We'll
Okay,
paint it
good.
though. We love you guys so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, yeah, tell a friend, leave a 5-star review. Look out for some more details for our New Year's Eve streaming that we just decided we're gonna do. And we love you guys so much. Thank you for the support, and we'll see you next week.
You guys are the best weirdos.
Love you, weirdos. Bye.